welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Renee and I read a lot, and today I'm doing my very late July update. It is like August 20th. We are nearing the end of August and I am just now getting around to making this because for the last month, my husband and I really have not been home. I think we've been home like 2 days in over a month. We've been between Prague and Sicily and Africa. And I haven't gotten to sit down and just like record. Any of the videos that I've posted were pre-recorded, pre-edited, scheduled to go up, whatever. This is the first one that I'm sitting down and recording new in a while. And so it's the July update. Late, but better than never, right? That's the expression, I think. So that's what we're going with. I actually just got around to finishing this page yesterday, the 19th, which is the first day that we've had at home since getting back from Africa. So I only had to finish like the last 2 pages and make this section, or the last 2 days on this page and make this section because I kind of finished it before leaving, but not really. It's this whole story. I have like a whole thing planned to tell it, but for right now, all you need to know is this is the earliest I could have made this, okay? I just posted this to my Instagram literally yesterday, so eventually I'll get around to finishing whatever it is I set my mind on. But in case you haven't seen it, this is my July page. And you see we've got these beautiful colors. I decided to do like a sunset theme for July because I just love the colors of the sunset altogether. And I tried to like match my top to it, you know, especially like this is like Barbie girl pink. We did go and see Barbie and I absolutely loved it. And I feel like we're all in our Barbie girl eras now this summer. Like everybody's wearing pink and sparkles, which is perfect because I've always said my favorite colors are pink and sparkles. So this is my summer. This is the summer to be me unapologetically. So I am wearing all my Barbie pink stuff that I can, and it doesn't hurt that it matches this. But then when I went to go post this on Instagram, I realized this is also the exact colors of the Instagram logo. And I was like, wow, I didn't mean to do that. But the Instagram logo has good colors because I love those colors. Anyway, that's just an aside that doesn't mean anything. So here it is. Here's July. And the yellow is kind of hard to see here, but it's okay. I'll read it out loud to you. It's easier to see in person. I don't know. I have all these beautiful colors here and I was like, oh, maybe I should do purple or pink or orange, whatever. But if you look, wait 1 second. What color did I use in June? Oh, it was purple. What color did I use in May? Orange. What color did I use in April? Pink. So that left yellow. So it had to be yellow. I kind of boxed myself into that one. Was not planning ahead. I'm already like pre-planning next year's month color schemes to get ahead of this issue. But for this year, it's too late. This is just what we have to go with. So as you can see, July started off as a pretty strong month, but then we tapered off. In total, this Barbie read 23 books. 23 books over a month, which honestly is still really good when you look at like how I fell off the wagon pretty hard and was reading like 20 pages a day. I think this was when we were in Prague, the 15th and 16th being my lowest reading days at 21 and 26 pages respectively. I'm 99% sure this is when we were in Prague visiting my sister, so I had more important things to do than read. Not that there's anything more important than reading, but maybe sometimes a little bit is hanging out with the people that you spend money to go see and that you like and that it's your family. And then like down here also, I wasn't reading as much because we were in Sicily where I was with my husband's family. So again, I had other things on my brain that weren't reading. So it's a good thing I started off so strong because my most read day actually was the 31st. And that was because I was on a plane. It was 480 pages, all of the Goldfinch. Hated that book, by the way, but I didn't have anything else to do because I was on a plane. So I finished all 480. But aside from that, that wasn't my only day with over 400 pages because I did have July 3rd was also 459 pages. And that's just some numbers for you right there. I know you love numbers. I love numbers. Regardless, started off strong, but then I traveled. August is going to be even worse in that regard, so prepare yourselves. Just some quick stats. My favorite book was Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Absolutely love that. That was one that I devoured in one sitting when I wasn't on a plane. So fantastic. Loved that. Keep up the good work. That one and like just the whole Crowns of Nyaxia, because that's like what their whole world series is called. The Serpent in the Wings of Night, its sequel to Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and the little like novella in between, Six Scorched Roses, all were fantastic. They all would go like in the most favorite book category. So when I put that, I mean all 3 of them. Close Close second though was Divine Rivals. I sat there for a second and I was like, ooh. But since Divine Rivals isn't over, like there's another book coming out at the end of the year, I was like, I don't know if I'm, at least like the Serpent and the Wings of Night story, like their story is, the whole series isn't finished, but their story is finished in the series. So I was like, okay, I really liked the whole story, so I made it number one. But Divine Rivals was up there too, just so you know. Least favorite book? The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This one was completely on me, right? So I was reading 28 Summers by Ellen Hildenbrand, and at the start of every summer in 28 Summers, it has a little blurb about what were we talking about this year in 2000, 2001, 2000, blah, blah, blah. And those blurbs were really interesting, right? And I really like them. This is all relevant, trust me. Those blurbs were really interesting and I liked them a lot. And I liked getting to like look back and think like, oh, was the Harlem Shake really in 2013 or whatever? Because that's the kind of thing I had forgotten about the Harlem Shake. I don't know if everybody forgot about the Harlem Shake or if it was just me, but I had forgotten. Anyway, point is that I think in the 2013 blurb, she mentions the goldfinch several times. And my brain kind of caught on to that because I was like, somebody I know was talking about the goldfinch when I was asking for book recommendations. And it's coming so highly recommended in this book. It's won, Pulitzer Prize. It has been mentioned to me before. Notice I'm not using the word recommended. This is on purpose. I thought it had been recommended to me before. I'm like halfway through this book, right? I'm in Sicily. I'm like, this book is terrible. And I don't understand why I'm reading this. And I was like, I'm going to go back because I put it in my little notes app. I'm going to search Goldfinch in my notes and I'm going to see if I can remember who recommended it to me. And you know what I found? It was a note from like 2021. So a few years ago, which explains my lapse in memory on this. And it said, do not read The Goldfinch. And I was like, oh, I had noted not to read it. Somebody told me not to read it. And I should have checked that before reading it. So that's completely on me. But the point is that book was not good. I don't understand, first of all. I'm going to just go on a little mini tangent about this because I don't understand why this is coming so recommended, why it had so many good Goodreads reviews. First of all, I don't understand and I will never understand why a white female author, gender doesn't matter. I don't understand why a white author is writing a white character saying the N-word. I don't think that that's ever necessary, literary, artistic. There's like a million other things that you could have written to convey whatever point you were trying to convey. And I don't understand why nobody's talking about this and everybody, I like had to quadruple check that I was like, this author's white. She's writing a white character saying the N-word to another white character. It just, I don't like it. I don't like it. In 2013, the year of our Lord 2013, we all know that saying that is bad. 2013 wasn't like the 1800s before we had like the internet to teach us about good and bad words. We all know that's bad. I don't know how that got past everyone. Second of all, it was just boring and literarily boring. I gave it 2 stars instead of just 1 because there were some good metaphors and stuff, but it could have been like 300 pages and not been nearly as boring. It was boring. I'll say it. It was boring. I'm not gonna lie though. The least favorite book was also a bit of a competition. I had a few. Well, actually that one was only 2, but I had a lot more 3 stars than normal. And my average star was a lot lower. It was 3.96. And in months past, in June, it was 4.32, 4.3, 4.6. Before that, I didn't calculate it. But the point is that 3.96 is the lowest average rating that I've given to books this year out of any month. That is very low for me. It is good, interesting, maybe a positive, because I did say I want to start, giving books real ratings instead of inflating my ratings because my ratings seem really inflated. Well, I achieved that goal at least because now it's going down, right? So that means I'm either being more honest or more critical or whatever. 6 5-star books, 11 4-star books, 5 3-star books, 1 2-star book. No 1-star books. Pages was 6,995. Really wish I'd found a Demi to read an extra 5 pages, but I did not know that I was so close to making 7,000, which is you know, more than my typical months, kind of. I would say it's on par. It's not my highest, it's not my lowest. It's around average. Most of the books I read were ebooks with 13. 5 were hardcovers, 5 were paperbacks. No audiobooks this month. I'm still in the middle of listening to War and Peace. That thing is like 40 hours long or something, so that's gonna take me like 10 years probably. We'll see if I can get it finished by the end of the year, but he just writes a lot. Yeah, that's really kind of all the stats I have. So I'm gonna go through, like always, all of the books that I read this month. It's 23. We'll be here for 10 years if I have to give a review on all of them. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna give a would recommend or would not recommend. And I'm gonna, here. The first book I read in July is Zori by Laird Hunt. I gave it 3.5 stars. I don't think I would recommend it. I read it because I needed a Z in my alphabet tracker. I now only have Q left, and that was one of the recommended books that started with Z when I Googled it. And it was pretty short, which was nice, but it just wasn't... Hello, Editing Renee here. I realized I forgot to tell you what Zori is about. It is about a girl named Zori who grows up in rural Indiana and just lives her life in rural Indiana, and it follows her life. That's it. That's the plot. Okay, see you soon. It was a little slow at times, and I didn't walk away with any profound sense of, wow, I just read a great book, or I learned something new, or it gave me something to think about, so not probably worth your time. The Serpent and the Wings of Night, followed by its novella, 6 Scorched Roses, followed by its sequel, The Ashes in the Star-Cursed King, all by Carissa Broadbent. I would give a hard recommend to. I gave them all 5 stars, 5 big, shining, bright, glowing stars. I loved it. They are a little bit longer, but surprisingly easy to read because of how good they are. Me again. Think Vampire Hunger Games with a large fantasy romance element. Possessive by Willow Winters. I gave it 3 stars. I couldn't even tell you what it is about in this day and age, and I only read it like a little over a month ago, so I'm gonna put it in the do not recommend because I'm gonna be this is the one. I already talked about this. I don't remember in what context I talked about this, but there's a girl and she was dating a guy who died, but secretly she was in love with the older brother the whole time. Yeah, this is gonna be a theme that comes up through a lot of my reviews. I don't like when siblings date people. That is so weird to me. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It's not normal. It is... It is not normal to lust after your sister or brother's significant other. That is just the strangest thing to me. Yeah, 3 stars, do not recommend. Also, the older brother was into her when she was like 16 and 17, and he was like in his early 20s, which is also really weird. That's really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't even know why I'm smiling. I'm smiling to get through the discomfort of how much I don't like it. Don't recommend it. Ugh, yikes. The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, followed by The Duke and I, the second epilogue by Julia Quinn, followed by The Viscount Who Loved Me and The Viscount Who Loved Me, the second epilogue, also by Julia Quinn. These are the first 2 books and their like little epilogues in the Bridgerton series. If you're a fan of the Bridgerton series or of period romances, I would recommend them. If you are not a fan of those, you're not gonna like them. Don't recommend them. But for me, I would recommend them, even if the first one is kind of uncomfortable and the author could really use a thesaurus to come up with other words for rake. I would still recommend them. They're still pretty cute and easy to get through. The Merciless series by Willow Winters. This one is a little long. It's 4 books. If you're into dark romances, though, I would recommend it. It was good. But if you're not into dark romances or, you know, that whole genre, don't recommend. It's not something to go out of your way to read, but I would recommend it for like, if you have my taste in reading. I gave the whole series 4 stars. It kept me pretty invested. So there's like a lot of problems I have with it. I did a whole video review on this. You can go check it out if you're interested, but soft recommend. 20 Years Later by Charlie Donnelly. I think it's Donnelly. It could be Donnelly. I gave it 4 stars. A new victim of the 9/11 terrorist attacks is identified, and a reporter uncovers some shocking truths about this whole sordid affair that this victim was involved in. I would recommend this one, especially if you like thrillers or mysteries. I thought this one was pretty well done. I thought the ending, actually the twist that surprised me, normally twists don't get me, this twist did get me. And it got me so bad that the whole time the twist was unfolding, I was like, no, I'm missing something here. I wasn't, it was just a good twist. But the beginning was a little repetitive and hard to get through, so you kind of have to get into it. But 4 stars overall, and I liked it overall, so I really liked it, so I would recommend it. Then I read Everywhere Everywhere by Juliet Karen. I would recommend this one if you like, you know, like lighter romance novels. Then I think it was like a lot of the writing was very beautifully done. So it's more like romance. There's no spice or anything, but that one also had a really interesting twist that I didn't see coming. So I would recommend that one. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I would definitely recommend that one. That one had a huge, big 5-star, bam, 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 bam. That's 5 stars for you. I also did a whole video on this one. The only reason I would say wait on this one is because the second one is coming out at the end of this year and it ends on a cliffhanger. So if you don't want to be just like sat and immersed in cliffhanger land until the end of the year, then don't pick it up yet. I don't know what I'm saying. Read it eventually, but whether you read it now or read it later is completely up to you. But you do have to read it eventually. That is the law. I just made that law, so you have to follow it. It was really good. Yeah, fantasy romance. Lots of good elements of fantasy, lots of good elements of romance. Oh, I loved it. 12 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5, but I can't do that because I only wrote 5 stars. I only gave myself 5 stars to color in, so. That's the way the cookie crumbles. It Works for Me by Colin Powell. I would not recommend this. I gave it 3.5 stars. I think I would lower that to 2.5 if I had my whiteout pen nearby. I don't agree with him politically, and a lot of his advice was really not advice. He spent like a whole chapter talking about how he likes his hotel room set up with like clocks with big numbers and not fluffy pillows because he's old, which isn't something that I at all care about or helps me in my daily life. But if he's coming to stay at your hotel, then you could glance at the list maybe for some brownie points. I don't know. It wasn't relevant advice. It was also very military specific advice. But even if you are in the military, you've likely heard this advice 17,000 times, so it's not worth picking up in book form. I said it's always interesting. I always leave on a positive note. It's always interesting to read stories from people with important careers. I stand by that. The Collector by Daniel Silva. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it was good. I haven't read, this is like number 23 in this dude's series. I haven't read any of the others. I jumped in at number 23, but the source that has recommended me these books says that all the others are really good too, and I should check them out. But I couldn't put it down once I started reading it. I'm into the series. I don't remember why I took off a star. Nope, don't remember. It's a good thriller. I would recommend you read it. Especially if you like thrillers. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really cool, you know. Basic synopsis that a retired Israeli spy is brought out of retirement to look for a stolen painting, which, you know, got kind of like a little bit of a James Bond thing going on with 28 Summers by Ellen Hildenbrand. I gave this one 4 stars. Basic premise is there is a girl and a boy, Mallory and Jake, and they've been hooking up every Labor Day, same time next year, no outside commitments for 28 summers. And it goes through, you know, every summer. What is that called? The word I'm eventually looking for is chronologically, but you can watch how poorly my attempt to find this one simple word goes. What's with the C?
Cycle?
No, like, one after the other. Like, not canonically, like, I'll think of this word, and I'll probably think of it, like, as soon as I turn off this video. But it goes, you know, through each summer of them. I had a lot of problems with this book. I didn't understand why they couldn't be together outside of their Labor Day stuff, and I didn't understand, like, to me that was never explained well, and I didn't like, you know, all the cheating and stuff. I've never liked that. I didn't like how neither of the characters seemed to, like, have a conscience, and that was never, like, even explored, really. I don't know, I don't want to say any spoilers, but there was a lot of like the cool girl who eats all of her food versus the girl who doesn't and works too hard, and one of them is presented as like evil and one of them is presented as perfect. That's like pretty problematic, and I don't know, there was a lot of problems I had with it, but I was really hooked, and I have downloaded more of Ellen Hildebrand's novels to read after this because I liked it so much, and the ending made me so emotional. I was just sitting on the couch and sobbing. So there clearly is something to it that I like and that I'm vibing with, but there was just so many like little like that I had to give it 4 stars. I couldn't give it a full 5. So I would say honestly, with most books that I have that many problems with, they would get like 2 or 3 stars. So the fact that it got 4 stars with all of these issues that I have is a testament to how much I liked the writing. So I'm going to continue reading her books, but just know that I don't think it was a perfect book, but I would overall recommend it. Then I read The Woman with the Cure by Lynn Cullen, about one of the doctors who is involved in finding not the cure, but the vaccine for polio. So it is, now that I'm thinking about it, it is interesting that they call it The Woman with the Cure, because they didn't cure it. They came up with a vaccine that helped to eradicate it, but they didn't cure it. You know what I mean? Whatever. I mean, it's historical fiction. It's all like a dramatization of this person's life, but it was pretty interesting. And it was like, it made me really grateful that we live in a time where we have vaccines for a lot of major illnesses, and that we have medicine and antibiotics and modern medicine in general, because we don't have to worry about something like polio. Because I think that sometimes we forget what it was like. I mean, we don't remember because we weren't there. At least I wasn't, because I'm 28. But I think sometimes we take for granted how we don't have to think about these things. Maybe after like the pandemic that just happened, at least I'm less guilty of it. But I think that we're all like a little bit guilty of taking these things for granted, like antibiotics or vaccines that allow us to live a very privileged existence where we don't have to worry about things like polio interrupting our summers or putting kids in iron lungs. So it makes you grateful, you know, it makes you think. But I just kind of wish that the book had like a little bit more science in it, but that's because I'm a giant nerd who loves science. And it was a little bit confusing at times, but overall I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and I would recommend it. I think it was good. I would recommend it. It was good. Say it was good one more time. Next, I read Brokeback Mountain by Annie Proulx. How do you think you say that? Proulx.
How to pronounce what?
Hello. She's listening.
Hey there. How can I help?
Why is she Australian? They just ignore the X on the end. Prue. I can't say that. Is it French? Annie. Wait. I'm gonna say Annie, and then can you play it? Brokeback Mountain by Annie. It's a romance about gay cowboys. 5 stars. That's where my favorite quote from the month came from. It's short. It's really short. It's only like 30 to 40 pages, but it was really good. I really liked it. I would recommend. So it's on the recommend list. The Stranger by Albert Camus. Do you think it's Camus or Camus? I think it was originally in French. I really went on a French author.
Camus.
Like that.
Camus.
The Stranger by Albert Camus. I wrote in my review, this is what The Catcher in the Rye wanted to be. I gave it 4 stars. It's an atheist who has to deal with his mother's death, and he straight up murders someone, and he has to contemplate all the meaning of life and freedom and regret as a result of, you know, murdering someone, which is a choice he made. And so this is one of those books that a lot of people read in high school or whatever, and it's on like the classics list. I gave it 4 stars. I would recommend it, I think. If you're into like classics and like kind of philosophical type books. I don't know. I really feel like I got a lot out of it in terms of like the questions about like regret and freedom and life and the meaning of everything in existence. I really enjoyed all of that discussion. I feel like I walked away with a completely different message from that book that other people did. So I don't know, just a thought. I can see why it's a classic. I couldn't relate to the main character, so I took off a star. Obviously I think that might be the point, because I still enjoyed reading about him and his thoughts, but every decision or statement he made, I was like, wow, I feel the complete opposite of you, bud. We're not picking up the same thing we're putting down here at all. So maybe that disconnect was like the point, you know, that, his actions or thoughts are so jarring to me. And maybe, I don't know, there's like a lot of thoughts that I have floating around in my brain. If anybody wants to start like a Socratic seminar where we discuss The Stranger, let me know. The last book that I read in July was The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I've already mentioned I gave this one 2 stars and I hated it and I don't recommend it. I wish that I had remembered that I said do not read The Goldfinch. I would say do not read The Goldfinch to you, and I would hope that you listen to me more than I listened to whoever told me that originally. I'll read you the short review that I wrote. The summary: young boy in New York accidentally steals a painting and is thrust into a growing of age story, conflict, whatever you want to call it. Review: do white women need to write white characters saying the N-word? Ever. Way too long and too many drugs. Nobody texts like that. Put me to sleep, and the main character was way too unlikable / definitely has an Oedipus complex. Stand by that. The moralizing at the end of the book was like 40 pages and was unnecessary and way too long, but it does have some good metaphors and writing. I think that sums up all I need to say about it. And that brings us to the end of July with all of the stats and with all of the books that I read, all 23 with the yes or no and the recommendations. So hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it wasn't terribly too late. Yeah, I'm curious how everybody else's July went, if you can even remember that long ago. I know that I was struggling with it. Probably be sitting down in another 10 days to make my August one. So hopefully that one goes a bit smoother. This recording's been kind of a train wreck since it's difficult remembering how to talk to yourself on the floor of your living room, but hopefully I did okay. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.